Hello everyone, welcome back to my Product Chat series. Today our Product Chat guest is Shubham, who just transitioned from Program Manager to Product Manager last year. Shubham is currently working at Amazon as a Product Manager too, and today we will be discussing about his journey and how he transitioned. Hi Shubham, I'm so excited to speak to you today. How are you?
I am good. Hi, Rubila. Thanks for inviting me. And it's my pleasure talking to you and maybe sharing some of my learnings to a broader audience.
Thank you so much. So let's start with why did you choose product management?
Oh, that's a question which has many dimensions. But the biggest reason why I choose product management is I wanted to impact like many people life with just one product. And product manager gives that thing, by building customer oriented products, you can actually impact a lot of people life like in once, like just sitting in the room. Maybe you put a 1 year effort and you recognize a customer problem, and like a Facebook, like a Instagram, like a WhatsApp, it is solving a very big problem for a very great people. So even a small thing, like even if you make enter better in the WhatsApp chat, it will impact and save some time for many people. So it's a the scale which helped me. And second thing, in my learning and in my background, I felt technology is a way to go. So it is kind of a next generation where you will find more opportunities to like affect people's life, and also where you will always find opportunities, like even if the AI comes or new things come. So that's why I wanted to become product manager, transitioning from program manager.
I definitely agree with all that. Can you please tell me more about your journey and your background and how did you transition from program manager to product manager?
Yes, so I started my career with a hospitality tech startup called Oyo Rooms. It is a startup based out of India, and started from there. And I was working kind of very close to product managers, but that time my position was program manager.
Okay.
But as you know, startups doesn't have a formal role definition, so they let me work with different people, and I was interacting with product managers and also engineers, and giving the business side of problems to them, like these are few problems to solve. And India as a country, it is the diverse and the scale of things, there were a lot of problems to solve in the hospitality industry. And Oyo did address many of those, like standardized living and like predictable stay experience. So it was a great learning for me to start. So I started with like, finding those things which a customer should get, then integrating those things in a product so that it can be scalable faster. Post that, I got an opportunity to actually launch the same company in Japan. So I was there for 2 years, and that was a preparation for the 2020 Olympics of Japan. So we were preparing for that, like how we will give the stage, how we will be go global, because Oyo was becoming a global company. But because of pandemic, it didn't happen. And somehow my 6 years of, I would say, working in Japan cut down to just 2 years. Then I thought, what to do next. And I was clearly like being in Japan, very close to technology. I feel Japan is living 10, 30 years ahead, even from US. My product experience thing go like, okay, now I need to do something in product, and I need to go direct, like instead of working in a startup. And I joined Amazon, like Amazon India, coming back from Japan. And at the same time, I applied for my master's in information systems from University of Washington.
Mhm.
Fortunately, I got that because that was my kind of a springboard, which I wanted to use to go in product, like formally, and work in a country which is very tech oriented, like US. And it worked out. Like I completed my master. I left my job in Amazon India, then joined for my masters, and then again joined Amazon as product manager. So it was a journey, long journey. While being in the information systems or doing my master's, I took products and courses which were related to product management. I interacted with professors around that. I made a friend group where I discussed these problems, or what can we do in WhatsApp, or maybe what can be a new WhatsApp or upcoming communication channels. These things helped me and motivated me. And finally, I landed up in Amazon. And let's see from here where it takes, because my aspiration is to become a product leader someday, like directing many product managers, maybe after 5 years down the line. And let's see how it goes from here.
Yes, that's so interesting. Like such a unique journey. Congratulations on securing the offer for the product manager though. Um, what's the difference between like a program manager, product manager, and even like project managers? There's like everyone is always so confused about these three positions. If you can tell me the difference.
Yeah, I can help you address it from my experience, and maybe it will answer your audience question. And this is a very common question which I also had when I started it.
Mhm.
So I would say program manager is someone who manages a kind of execution of a campaign or a project inside the company. And meanwhile, he don't have direct reportees under him. He is like he need to influence without authority and get these things done. He wanted to put deadlines and work across teams, like different stakeholders, which is not a part of your team, but still you need to convince them for a one plan which we are making, or which one campaign which you wanted to execute, and then own all the milestones of that program. While doing so, you need to be very good at communicating, like what you are doing, why you are doing, and also the broader team, that this is the path we are tracking, so that we don't miss it. Like all the stakeholders, maybe product, the business side, maybe the engineer side, and you need to work with them. So it's more like a node between many different teams while executing a broader project. So this is like a program manager. Product manager is someone like which of course have to have all these skills which program manager have. Plus, he should understand the, I would say, customer side of things or the customer problem. And he is the biggest word of mouth of the customer inside the company. Like customer is facing this, like there may be big plans, people may come with the let's do this. He
Yeah.
should go talk to the customers, or maybe in some way surveys or directly interaction, find what are the customer problems and say to the business or to the engineers, no, this is not the problem. So it's like a product manager is superseding program manager in the way of skill set and what your role is. Of course, 50% again, you need to manage a roadmap, you manage a vision, you manage the customer problem, and with that you need to understand the customers. It's like a mouthpiece of customer inside the company who just fight for customer and what customer is looking for, and map that whole customer journey from the application. If it is application, if it's a hardware, like how the customer will come see the product or see the application, and from there how we will go, like next sign up, or if it is a hardware product, just open it, how it feels, the how the packaging, till the end result. And he will map the journey and find all the touch points and see the customer problems and make it better. Like it's like a, oh wow, like in any customer, it can be a hardware product, it can be just a door, like a very normal, not even a technical product, or it can be a technical hardware, or it can be just a software like a application like a WhatsApp or Instagram.
Yeah. Really good explanation. Thank you so much for that. So what is a day in the life of a product manager? I know it's like completely different every day, but generally, what's a typical day?
Yeah, so I would say it's like there will always be few things which are in execution. So
Mhm.
you need to check with your engineers or whoever you are working with, that are these things on track, on time? And if there are any changes, like new input from the business or customer side, which you got it, let them know, so that if they can, they will include it or not. On the other hand, half of your time will go in either if something is released, to figure out if customer is liking it or how much they are liking it, or if not liking it, why they are not liking it. Or if there is nothing released, if you are new, then you will figure out what is the next customer problem you're trying to solve. So you need to first identify. If you're already identified, then you will work towards what else I can do to solve that problem. So half of the time is managing like current roadmap, and half of the time finding that new thing and then making the roadmap. And depending upon your like which area your product at, which stage it is, you will be in different parts. Maybe the whole day is going in execution if the product is like in totally execution, like a launch plan. Or maybe on the other hand, if the product is in making, the whole day will come in vision, customer, and like identifying the problem and then figuring out the solution. So it depends upon which stage your product in. But like some like these will be the few of the tasks which you will be generally executing in a day as a product manager.
Makes sense. So a follow-up question. So since you mentioned about the rollout of a product, so I've heard like since the companies I've worked at done internships, every company is so different in terms of the rollout. Some just roll out like some product to a region or a state. Um, from your experience, what do you think about a rollout? Like how is it done?
So first is, of course, as you're saying, we need to figure out, are we rolling out just internally, or
Mhm.
are we rolling out globally, or are we rolling out in a state, or like which scale are we rolling out?
Right.
Depending upon that, we need to involve the business stakeholders and the other stakeholders of those people. But even before that, like this is kind of a marketing plan or execution plan. Of course, product manager, this is comes under the product manager, because the adoption or adoption person is generally the part of the product manager. Like you need to find it. But I would say the stages, if you'll ask me, like how we go. So first is like check the product, like by yourself. If the product is ready, any product, you need to check yourself if you are satisfied or not satisfied. Then you need to find a small group of people which will represent the same global audience. If it is global, if it is a state level, then state onward. So it should represent the same audience for which you are launching. So you find a very small sample test and then let them experience the product and gather like bugs, gather their like experiences, try to explain them if you are able to sell it or not sell it, if that makes sense to them. And with that, again, you will make few changes.
Mhm.
If there are bugs, you will try to solve it. Then generally people launch it in a small group. Even if you are doing it globally, then you can maybe try for a reason, so that you can see that if the systems at the back end are working, if the product is able to scale that up, whatever you are trying to solve, like even if it is WhatsApp. So try for that and then go global. So generally these are the stages. But some companies like Apple, sometimes they launch some things like globally, but generally on the back end they follow the same methodology, where they will go slow and then launch bigger, because they should address all the bugs and also they check if the experience makes sense or not.
Yes, that answers my question. So what are some aspects of product management that you really like and some that you're like, maybe not?
Uh, that's a difficult question to answer for me. But from my perspective, I love digging down into the data and try to identify like what is the customer problem, or what is the like for example, I will give you an example. Like Netflix, it didn't happen with me directly, but I heard from my friends. So in the Netflix, when Netflix started in the start, what happened is they were seeing in the data that whenever person starts streaming a movie, they suddenly see around 10 second a movie is missing in between. People go forward and then suddenly they started in 30 second. Like they see this common trend, like in the start somebody is moving, what is happening? They figure it out, and then they realize it is because movie start has some names and few background which people don't want to see, like an introduction, which is not a start of a story, which like some branding or something like that, and people just want to go ahead. Then after that realize the customer don't like it, let's introduce a skip intro button, which will exactly go take you there where you want to, like start of the movie. So that is kind of so digging down the data and then see why this is happening. First you will not understand, it's like GBs of data. Like for the company like Netflix, like people are watching, like, okay, why they're doing forwarding, backwarding in the start and they want to go somewhere. And for the movie, like, oh, why it is happening? Then you realize, oh, is this like because data level? So this is one part which I like a lot, digging down into the data and identify something. On the other hand, like I don't love like after executing just managing the execution, like, hey engineer, if this is done, task for the today, like it's like a task management. Like you can say that, okay, these are the three things which we need to deliver today, but that is very important. Without that, like at the end you can't prove the impact in the team, because some products take years to develop. So in the middle, you may have a role transition or company transition. You need to have a work to show. So, and you can only show, okay, this much work is done for this feature. So you need to work on that. But I personally like more on digging data and identifying the problem than just task management. So that is one thing.
That answers okay. And I did not know about that. Like I know about the Netflix that there's like a skip intro option right there, but I didn't know the background of it.
Background
Um,
story.
so what skills do you think a product manager should have?
So I would say first thing is he should be a very good communicator. So
Mhm.
when I say communicator, it doesn't mean that his language should be very good. Of course, it should be. If it is good, more than happy, very good. But it's not about language. It's about you communicating the context or the feeling from where you are coming from and why you are coming from. Second thing, it should be like you should be very empathetic as a product manager. When I say empathetic, you should understand where the other person is coming from, instead of just, okay, you have an idea and then suddenly you will come with an idea and I'm like, wait, I have an idea. Instead of listening, first listen and then try to understand where he's coming from. Just even if it is wrong, just check where he's coming from. So it will help understanding the customers also. It will help understanding other ideas also in the team. So
Yeah.
these three things are very important. And third thing is influence without authority. Because most of the time product managers work with engineers to build something like a tech product, but the engineers will not report to you directly. So it's like a parallel organization. On the other hand, there is a other parallel organization, business which come with our problems, like, hey, we want this, we want that. So when they're coming from, like, both the organization is not reporting to you and they're just coming with something, and they are also coming, and both are very brilliant people. Business are like, they understand the business, and the engineers understand the system. Without them you can't do anything. Okay, this can't be done, like even if you say this payment method can be made, because the system is not like that. So you need to listen and you need to influence without authority. The three things: influence without authority, empathetic to understand the other point of view, and the first thing, with communicator.
Yeah.
Three things is very important, I would say, as a skill set. There are many others like task management, organization, but these three things is like a major core of things.
Yes.
And I am saying this because I know many of your organization, or I would say audience, would be international, because from Europe or somebody, and many people face issues with languages. Even I face sometimes before. So it's not about language; it's about just communicating your thing. For the language, of course, you can keep working, both written and verbal. It will slowly improve, but you need to like have a connect with the person you're talking to, even if your language is not so good.
Yes, some really good points. So if you have interviewed anyone in the past, or if you would interview anyone like in the future as a product manager, what skills, like, I know that there is no like proper certifications or anything required for product manager. When you see a person, it's hard to judge, okay, if that person is a good communicator or all those skills that you mentioned. How would you think that this person could be a good fit?
So again, the way you interview depends a lot on for which company you are interviewing for. So in any of the big techs like Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, have all set processes, or I would say same policies and same methodologies. Not, I will say them exact same, but there are basic processes set in place.
Yeah.
So for now, I would love to talk about Amazon if you want to ask me, because Amazon I'm working with, and that I have enough experience and I did interview. So in Amazon, people would say there is a format called STAR method. So they will give you generally a case, a question like a problem statement. Tell me about a time when you understand a customer and you went and above to solve customer's problem, even if your manager was not aligned. So you need to give a story in a start format, like situation, task, actions, and results. So in this format, you need to tell the story within 3 minutes, and then you need to answer all the follow-up questions. So when we are doing this, of course, first thing is he may or she may have prepared the story, like, learn it or something. You may
Right.
miss the communication part, but when you do a follow-up question, you will clearly see if that is like working or not working, like communication part, if you're just asking for communication. On the other hand, like about influence without authority, there is no clear way. But when you are talking and you're talking to a lot of people, sometimes you will understand, like, even if that person has a connect, like, that person like work with you. But again, he may be acting, she may be acting, and there may be a mistakes. But there are 7 rounds of interview. If all miss, it's okay. But you can try, but you can't see, and people change with time. So
Right.
even if it is trying, that's important. And to see that. Communication, influence without authority, and the other part was empathetic. Like while asking the follow-up questions, most of the time you ask, okay, where did you come from, where did you get the idea? The responses sometimes make sense, but a person can, or a candidate can prepare himself or herself well, but even that happens, like he's investing time to learn, so that matters. And there is 7 rounds, so most of the time you will get to know 90% of the decisions are very good, but sometimes it may go like sideways, but it's happened, it's a part of the process. So that is one thing. But if you'll ask me, like in general, I'm looking for these qualities, and every person has different ways and skills to like judge you, or maybe evaluate you, or find you, that if that makes sense.
Yes.
And it's mostly about like, if you want to work with that person, like even if these skills are not there, like if I'm talking, There is a connect, like, oh, I want to work with this person, I want to be around that person. That matters the most, like if you want to get selected, like in general. But there is a process for big companies, but in general, if there is not a process, like you need to select, then it's more about, do you want that person around you,
Mm,
working with you? Does that make sense? Like, there is a connect, and you get to know while talking.
right.
So these are few things, and Amazon has a clear like leadership principles. You need to judge people or evaluate people. I would say, instead of judge, the better word is evaluate people. Like there are 16 leadership principles now. Before it was 14 till last year.
Wow.
So people can exactly like customer obsession. And there is a one line definition, like you should be always customer obsessed. Think from the customer perspective while doing anything. So one thing in Amazon people do is, like in a big meeting, even the board meeting, there is an empty chair which represents customer. So that everybody, like whenever saying something, remember that empty chair is there. There is a customer thinking. So
Wow.
think
Okay.
from this customer. So these are few things. It's like a culture of the company. So every company has different. Microsoft have a very different way of interviewing.
Mhm.
So I can talk about it like from my experience, but yeah, I will stop the answer here and like let you ask more questions.
I would like to know definitely for Microsoft as well.
So for the Microsoft, the product interviews are more informal, I would say, where there is a set process, but the set process is like maybe 5 rounds of interview, but
Mhm.
there is no mandate like how to ask questions. That depends upon person to person to choose a question and ask a question. Generally, they ask one product design question. Product design question, when I say, they will ask you, okay, tell me about if you have to design a pen for
Mhm.
a blind people, how
Okay.
will you design it? And they are not looking for an answer, and there is no right answer or wrong answer. They will just look for the approach,
Okay.
or what questions they will ask, because there is no answer. You need to ask questions. Okay, blind people, okay, are they like totally blind or like partially blind? Or maybe, okay, which area they belong to, like are they from a country or like which sector? So
Mhm.
these things you need to ask questions, like they want to see how you are thinking and approaching the problem rather than finding an answer. So there is no right answer. So this is one question they will for sure ask. Then other things they may ask is like, again, some I would say cases, like tell me about experience when this happened, or tell me about the experience that things go bad, or tell me about experience when you have a conflict with your manager. How
Yeah.
did you solve it? If there is a leadership position, they will ask other questions like, if a guy is not performing in your team, how did you handle that situation? How did you check? So generally people are interviewing at our stage in Udo is for individual contributor. So they will not have a leadership questions like a team questions. They will mostly have these design questions or
Mm.
generic questions to know about you. Okay, what did you do last? And they may give hypothetical situation to create anything system design. Like they may say, okay, if from the pen they can move to, okay, if you want to create a WhatsApp, what will you think? How will the system design of WhatsApp, current WhatsApp, will be different? Or maybe they will ask you, okay, LinkedIn, you'll use LinkedIn to find me here for this interview, so tell me 3 things which LinkedIn should do to get more monetary benefit, like how to increase revenue. There is no right answer. You need to give us
Exactly.
the plot by yourself. Okay, I see 4 things in LinkedIn. Okay, these are the 4 things they
Mhm.
use for career, they use for maybe stalking, they use for find people, and this I want to exclude something else to
Mhm.
make to podcast. I don't know, like, and why you to think the podcast will work, and then you have to give the approach. How did you create in this? So it's like more about approach.
Mhm.
And they see if the person is ready to learn and grow. That is the biggest thing Microsoft look for, like learning and growth. It's called as, in the Microsoft Insight, it's called as growth mindset. Do the candidate has a growth mindset or no growth mindset?
Mhm.
And then how you think and ready to learn. So these few things the Microsoft do a lot from my interview experience with Microsoft, which they want to look, but there is no set pattern. So it's like sometimes you find a very good person, and I heard a story where in 1 hour interview, half hour they've just talked about cats. Per
Wow.
candidate person. Suddenly they saw a cat and they started talking about cat. Both knows about cat, and they're like, they talk cat, and that's the way they wanted to like know each other.
Yeah.
So, Microsoft is a quite a different game. Amazon is a very different game. Amazon, whatever you say, also they write it down.
Mhm.
Like even if you say I have a 2x growth for this, they will write it down, and they may ask that question again in the another round, and they may match it. So
Okay.
it's a different kind of interview at Amazon.
That's interesting. Okay. So just the last few questions. Any certifications or any courses would you recommend to new product managers who want to enter into the field?
So, one thing which you can do is there are, I would not say one product manager certification or something. If you'll just see product certifications, there will come few. And you'd have also recommend few. You can do any of those, just one or two, just to get the background or the context. And there is a book, The Way of the Product Manager. I can let you know, the beginner's guide to the product manager interview by Louis Lynn. You can read that. And you don't have to read it like a story or something. Just read like on the go one chapter a day and
Right.
just discuss it, friend. Not like just read it and you will not gain anything out of it. Just read it and talk to people. I read this. They were talking about product design, and same person wrote a book on product design. So just read that. And they have few sample questions and sample answers. So do that sample questions and answers, but try to answer that question to your friend in your own way. Like maybe anything. This was a question there also, how to revise or get more monetary from LinkedIn, or what next feature you can add in WhatsApp.
Yes.
How WhatsApp. So these questions you can answer it. Or if you are designing a door, how will you design a door for a garage door or something like?
Yes.
So just read that and discuss it. Not just read the book. Read
Mhm.
the book and discuss with someone, any of your friends. So these two things I would say. And on the other hand, it's good to have a certification of AWS Cloud, starting with Cloud Practitioner. It will not give you an interview or something, but it's good to give a background, because very good jobs are there in Azure, AWS, and Google Cloud. And if you do AWS certification, it will applies all. You can, even if you're in a Microsoft interview, you can say that I did AWS certification, and they may ask you questions, but even if they don't ask, you will have an idea of cloud, because
Right.
that is the most growthful, I would say, area to be.
Mhm.
And it has, like, it is a profitable business for all the three companies, Google, Microsoft, and Amazon, and a lot of opportunities to learn, like product manager, program manager, product manager, technical, even engineers. So it's a good place to be, safe place, good place to be. So just do that. Like, it will give you a background of AWS cloud and
That is
overall.
very helpful. Thank you. I'd never heard of this certification, so I'll definitely look into this because I was,
Yeah, you can check for AWS Cloud Practitioner. This is the start, and the next is AWS Solution Architect. So start with Associate Solution Architect, then Solution Architect. Solution Architect is more technical, but before that, two can be done by anyone. Like generally, you will just put some effort. Cloud Practitioner in 10 days, and Associate Cloud Practitioner generally people clear in 1 month.
1 month. Okay.
If you're while studying, like while working, it may be different and depending upon the people's skill. But mostly people who are in colleges can do that very easily.
Okay. What do you think about like the Scrum certification though?
I didn't do it, so I don't know. But
Yeah.
few of my friends did, and they say good about it. And a few of my coaches also recommended me back when I was in judo, but I never got the chance and I didn't complete it.
Okay.
And it is not impacting my life now, so
Yes.
I don't know. I don't have a direct answer for that. But I think good to have. People recommend most of the time, but
Right.
I don't have it.
Sounds good. So since you told me that you transitioned from program manager to product manager, if someone who was like just an early graduate, how would you recommend them to, enter the field?
The best way is while you are in graduation stage, like 1 year program or 2 year programs, or maybe a 4 year BTech program, I would say find a product of which you want to like build yourself, many like any small product, and think about it. Like just think, how would you approach it? Even if you don't able to do a prototype, just think about it. Make a team of 3 or 4 people and do it. In UW, for my course, there is a course itself in which there is an assignment where I need to think about a problem statement which they give, like assignment. But you can with other than that, you can think yourself, and I did that. So those are few very good things. Just do that. On the other hand, on the go, whatever you use in your life, like everybody is using phone, laptop, who are graduating from UW, anything you can do, like Zoom, and just think about it. What else you can add in the Zoom, or what else you want to remove, and why? Just not say, okay, remove this. Why? Like maybe putting a background over the Zoom. What else you can do? Or
Right.
should I remove it? And if not, what? From safety, you can think. From the user experience, you can think. From the like usability, like Zoom entered, like you can mark something like while you are presenting. So
Yes.
this is a very good feature. So think more. What else? And how you can make it very easily. And even if you are not able to execute it, that makes sense. And try if you can do a prototype of any small product, that will be a great help for you, because you need to do a lot of things. You need to find a person who is engineer in your group. You need to find a person, so it's like a 3 4 people, and you know how to work in a team, how to create it, and just talk about it. So when you talk, you can show a prototype with this, but you can tell them how you want to scale it. What is the broader vision? Why you wanted to make this? That will give you a biggest boost. Even in the interview, when they ask you to talk about it, you can just talk the whole 1 hour about that product and
Exactly.
just talk
Yeah.
passionately and what you are doing.
Yeah.
And the rest is, of course, if you have a previous experience,
Mhm.
then that is far than good to talk about. Like what I did was, I had a program manager experience, but I said because of the startup, I got the chance to work with product managers and sometimes act in a way. So I
Yeah.
go back to my experiences and just think more about it. Okay,
Mhm.
what else I could have done? What did I miss that time? That helped me a lot. Okay, give me a broader context, because now, because of Udemy, I got a broader vision. So
Yes.
then I got to the same incident. I'm thinking, okay, so you remember many incidents. Okay, why did that manager said to do this? And then
Mhm.
you can rethink it, and those will help you get the stories which you can present in the interview. And this was my method to finding stories. Because you can't project a prototype like every time. Like Amazon, that company want you to say at least 8 to 10 stories.
Right.
You need to have that, or 8 to 10 experiences which you need to tell them. So
Mhm.
you need to find those from your previous experiences, just to rethink that and think what else you could have done, how different you can done, or what you done, is it the right or wrong? If right, why? If
Mhm.
wrong, why?
Hi.
Yes, these are the things which will help you find those experiences and grow your mind. Like any new things come, grow your mind. And last thing I would suggest, which you can do, is read other cases, which Judo promotes a lot, sometimes in the courses also,
Mhm.
and or else you can find yourself. Just read some cases like Netflix story or any other story, anything like Google.
Mhm.
Google, how the Google lens comes in, why the Tesla is working, what happened to the Google electric car. Just like a story, not even work. Okay, let me figure out this. How
Yes.
did credit card come into the picture? So anything you can go and search. It will help you think and answer questions on the go. It will help you think more and answer more.
Really good tips. Thank you so much. That answers all my questions. I had this last question, which you already answered some part of it. If you want to add anything, I wanted to ask you, what are your future aspirations or goals? You already mentioned about being a product leader. Anything else you want to add?
Yes. So currently, I would say how I'm looking, or in a way, step by step. So currently, I'm a product manager. From here, I want to become a product manager technical, where I want to work on a product which is highly technical,
Mhm.
like maybe a cloud storage. I don't know. I still didn't work, so I'm not sure. So I need to prepare a lot for that, because you need to know the terminology. You need to little bit understand the background tech also. Even if you are not able to make that system design, you need to understand this. It's currently for a product manager, you don't have to write the code, but you need to understand the code. So
Exactly.
that
Yes.
can so that is my first step. From here, I wanted to go, like, after 2 years first, get to know product manager in and out way, all the experiences. So I need time. It should not, it's like not like a run. If you want to be here and understand like different situations, you will fall in different situations, get out of them. You will interact with different people. Some will agree, some will not. And sometimes you are right, but still the person will not. So you will find this type of like situation, like people management, or not even say like a reporting management, just a normal people management. So that
Right.
even if you're right, how to get those executed and get that delivered, because you need to convince that person.
Mhm.
So these things I need to work on, must become a better product manager. So second is, I want to become a product manager technical, for which I need to gain more technical knowledge, I would say. And then I wanted to manage few people, and later I want to become a product manager leader, where I can manage few products, and I can define a broader vision for a company, maybe the whole crowd story. What is the broader vision? And the other people can take some parts and work on it. So
Yeah.
that's how I'm thinking. But it's a long-term plan. I would say 7 to 8 years. In the recent time, I would say next 2 years, my plan is to become product manager technical, learn more about technicalities. This is my I would say ambition. And on the other hand, I want to create an impact with my product, where a lot of people are getting impacted. Like maybe whatever way they think, good or bad. Of course, I want to be in a good way, but
Okay.
I want to impact their life, make their life a little easier.
Mhm.
So this is my vision for now. And of course, it is evolving with the time. I get more knowledge and more people, and the more way of doing things. But this is how I think now, or see now.
I'm sure you will get there.
Hopefully.
I just want to thank you. This was very descriptive, so thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for inviting me again to put my learnings for other people who can maybe learn from you, because this will be very helpful, because I know when I was doing this and trying to prepare these interviews, podcasts, sometimes listening to people talking, even if you don't have to contribute, helped me a lot to, like, frame my answers, frame my interview, and also to think like a product manager.
Right.
So hopefully it will make a great impact to the YouTube audience and the broader audience whom you are addressing this podcast.
Definitely. Yes. Thank you.